Welcome to Podcast, the Business of Dentistry podcast, brought to you by Practice Plan. Podcast delivers the best business advice, real-life stories, and practical hints and tips to make your practice a more profitable and sustainable business. And now, here's your host.
Hello and welcome to Podcast, Practice Plan's Business of Dentistry podcast. My name's Hazel Dockery, and with me today, I'm delighted to say, is Mark Topley. Hello, Mark.
Hi there.
We're going to be talking about Gold for Kids. So, in case people don't know who you are, unlikely but possible, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about what you do? Because I know this isn't the only thing that you get involved with.
That's right, yeah. Well, I've been involved in dentistry for about 22 years now, 23 years. Not a dentist, came from a teaching, project management, music industry background, and then kind of caught my attention with dentistry with a friend who's a dentist, Ian Wilson, who got me involved at the ground level of Bridge to Eight, the dental charity that works in East Africa.
Yeah.
And so I worked with them until 2017, and then since then I've been doing consultancy, working with dental practices, basically helping practices to become places that people love to come to work, that are successful, sustainable, good fun, great for patient care. So that's what I basically do nowadays.
Yeah, so alongside what sounds like an absolutely full portfolio, you're also involved with a charity called Gold for Kids. So explain a bit more about what they do and how you got involved, please.
Yeah, so Gold for Kids is very simple. When teeth with restorations are extracted, there's one of three ways they can go. They can either go into the bin, into clinical waste. They can go to a refiner, and then the money comes back to the practice, or they can be donated to a charity like Gold for Kids. Mm-hmm. What we do is we collect those restorations, and then twice a year we melt them, and we turn the melt into cash for children's charities in the UK. So we work specifically in the UK, children's charities that are addressing poverty and supporting families, and that's the basic concept.
Right. I mean, so how do people normally deal with things in practice if they're not donating them? I mean, does it just go in clinical waste, or might they use it themselves? Or
yeah, so sometimes it goes into clinical waste,
mm-hmm.
which is a shame, because there's real value in that.
Yeah.
Or it can be retained by the practice, and then they send it off to a refiner. Often they're collected by refiners, and then the refiner retains a proportion of the proceeds, and then some of the proceeds comes back to the practice, and they'll use it to fund various things, social events, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or they could donate it to a charity of their own choice.
It's donated to a charity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it's important to realise that the restoration belongs to the patient. And so one of the things that we're very keen on with Gold for Kids is that the patient is asked what they want to do with their restoration. So when it's removed, it's got no value to them, but would they like to donate it to a charity? Otherwise, it's going to go into clinical waste. So we think that's a conversation that's worth having with the patient. And for those practices that do take part in the initiative, it's fantastic because it's a great conversation starter and enables the practice to say, look, we want to donate this to charity. Are you happy with that?
So what's the process? What would, if they wanted to get involved with Gold for Kids and donate their waste, how would they go about it?
So really simple, go to goldforkids.org, hit the website, and then there's a button right in the middle which says register now. You hit that button, you fill in your details onto a form and click submit. Once you've done that, everything else will be sent to you. So we'll immediately send you an email which has got links to the digital welcome pack, mm-hmm. where you can download the resources that you need. So you'll get a label that you can stick on the side of your pot, and you can use any pot you like. You don't need to have a special one to do it. And that pot sits in the decon room, and then anytime anything comes through the decon room, there's a restoration that can be donated. Once it's been sterilised, we stick it in that pot, and then once you've been through that process, we will remind you. So whatever stage you register at, we run 2 melts a year, one at the end of July, one at the end of January. Mm-hmm. And so we're just about to hit mid-May now. So our practices right now are starting to get emails to say, start to get your proceeds ready, start to get your donations ready. We also send an email once a fortnight which says where the money's gone, what we're doing, how to get other people involved. So building up to that melt deadline, which is 31st of July for us this year, we'll be sending people reminders. And then once they get the reminders, then it's time to gather everything together, put it into a bag, stick that in a padded envelope, and then print off the label that is in the digital welcome pack and send it back to us, so we can start the process of melting it.
So you actually make the process very easy for people, don't you?
It's you couldn't make it much easier. The only thing you've got to do is keep your restorations, stick them in a bag, put them in a padded envelope, and print off a label. And once you've done that, now most of our practices choose to make a donation by posting it and putting the postage on it themselves. But you've got to do that. That's what, £2-3 to do that. And then everything else we handle for you.
Yeah, I mean, that is very simple. One thing that some people get concerned about with charities is how much of what they're actually donating goes to the good causes and how much is it admin and various other things. What's it like with Gold for Kids?
Yeah, and having been on both sides of this, what I would say is that, charities need to be able to spend money on things to raise funds, to market what they're doing, to basically invest in growth. With Gold for Kids, it's a slightly different model. We're a completely volunteer-run charity, so there are no paid staff. We basically got a team of 4 or 5 of us that give time, and that means that we can make sure that as much as possible that money is going to the charities directly. However, responsibly, we have to keep back some to pay our accounts, to do our registrations, to make sure that we can do the basic functions that we need to do as a charity. But overwhelmingly, the vast majority goes directly to the causes that we support.
Which is great. So people usually want to know what happens to the money. Where does it go? How do you let people know about where the money's gone?
Yeah, so what we've got, and in the same way as we've got 2 melt cycles a year, we've got 2 grant making cycles. So one of the founders of the charity oversees that. And what happens is charities that want to get donations from us, they go to our website, they fill in a form, an application. That then gets batched into a series of applications, which we then process after the melt deadline. We know how much money we've got. There's certain terms and conditions they have to meet in order to get a donation. And one of those is they have to feed back to us on what they've how they'd used the money, and give us the case study basically. And then what we do, if you're a registered practice, we put that into the regular emails that we send out. And so you'll get it if you're connected to us directly. But also we've got our social media presence is very good, thanks to Lift Social, who do our socials. So they will also promote both the charities that we've supported and the practices that are donating to us through our social media channels, which you can find across all the platforms.
And I'm assuming stuff there's lots on the website as well.
Yeah, website's got a full breakdown of the major charities that we've supported, because the number of charities is going up all the time, keeping that up to date and maintained. But our socials have got a really good feed of everything that goes on. But certainly the bigger case studies are all on there to check out.
Yeah. So why would a practice want to do this? What's the incentive for them?
I think we're recognizing that if you're going to be a good employer, then showing that you're giving back to your community is a good thing. A lot of the evidence points to the fact that people look for responsible employers. They want the business they work for, to give back to the community, to care about the community. And so this is a really good way to show that in a very, very simple way, and a way which actually doesn't cost you any money. So you're generating a huge benefit, but it's not costing you financially very much. But that goodwill that you get within the team is fantastic, because we all know that if the team's not switched on and engaged and behind you as a practice, then it makes it much more difficult. It's also great because patients love to see it. Dentistry is a trust-based business. You can't take an implant back, and so you make a decision on where you're going to get your dentistry done way after you were with any other business. You've got to have all those little indicators of, this is a practice that cares about people. This is a practice that cares about the community. I could trust these people. And so therefore people make choices based on those things. And this is just one small part of that overall picture that you can use to build up that picture of what you're doing. And also you should get involved because it feels really good. When you see that your donation is, has been turned into 800 quid or whatever, and that's gone to a charity, working in the West Country with kids in poverty, and they did a fun day or they did an event, then that feels really good to do. So there's a whole range of reasons why people should do it.
Yeah. And at the moment, sorry, I meant to ask this earlier, how many dentists have you got signed up, and what do you think is the potential?
I think the potential is huge. So the last melt that we ran, we had 17 practices that contributed to it. And that generated about £12,000. So our aim for this year is 100 practices, because that's an astronomical amount of money for a relatively, straightforward and simple exercise to get that money in. So we've got a small group of committed practices at the moment. What we'd like to do is to turn that into, 30, 40, 50, up to 100 practices this year that are all contributing.
So if a charity, I mean, there are some practices that don't know about you, aren't there? So if they want to find out more, how do they go about that?
Yeah, website goldforkids.org, and all the information that you need is on there. You can also contact us through our Instagram channel, through Facebook, and that's all monitored. And then if you've got specific questions, we can get those answered reasonably quickly, although bear with us because we've all got full-time jobs as well. But yeah, all the digital ways of contacting us are all out there.
Well, let's hope they do. So thank you very much for your time, Mark.
Thanks very much.